Next, Mayor Loveridge.
Just as you listen today, this problem of one size fits all became difficult we identified the question of the lumber, the lumber trucks, the cattle trucks, and I don't know anything about cabs or something. Struck me as kind of telling. I looked at the other comments, seemed telling. I guess the only point I want to make is there, as you listen to testimony, you do your work in this. If there are exceptions, I think we ought to that don't fit. The staff ought to make them to us for consideration.
Come back with any additional cleanup that you think would be useful. All right. Are there any further motions to be made?
Do we need a motion to direct staff, or is there?
We don't normally need to do that, but I think we could. We could direct staff to reflect on the options that you presented and on the additional options that others have proposed, including the idea of indexing in some way any relief to improvements in the economy or in upticks in emissions that could be measured. The board wants to see this back again, and we want to be in a position to vote on it before any enforcement action is taken under the rule. So you've indicated that you think that's April. I don't think we need to be. I don't think the motion needs to include the date, but I think it needs to include the intent that there be additional information gathered and a draft put out and go through the whole rulemaking process, if that's an acceptable motion. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess my biggest concern is as we, get to April, I don't know when spending requirements of any kind kicked in, right. And if they were even a few months later, for business, to be waiting for us to have a hearing to know what they're going to have to do within a few months after that,
I think
may be very problematic, and I think we need to keep that. We have to take this into consideration.
In mind. No, I hear you. I just remembered that I also wanted to add, if I may, in my own motion, that one of the things we want the staff to also look at is the idea of any possible incentives that could be used in lieu of just regulatory forcers that could help keep the progress moving forward, but at the same time allow for relief. So that should also be added to the motion. Okay, do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Sorry. The motion was to direct staff to prepare some proposed amendments to the on-road heavy-duty truck rule that reflect the fact that that emissions are down and will be down for at least another year or two at a minimum, and perhaps longer, and that would put this rule on track to kick back in again. That's not very technical, elegant language, but to ramp back up again based on some objective criteria about increases in emissions or improvements in the economy. Sorry, you want to fix that?
Also.
And we're also, maybe we could do the off-road separately.
Yeah, let's do the
I think, because I'm kind of on a roll here on this one. But then we can take up the off-road. And that they would look at, among the options, they would also look at ways of creating additional incentives for people who can't afford earlier compliance to comply. And they will also look at exceptions that may have been considered in the past but not brought forward that would carve out certain types of trucks or uses of trucks that are less concerned from a health perspective.
And within this process, it would include the financial review.
And the financial issue would be included within that, not just the general state of the economy, but specifically the affordability, availability of credit, and so forth. All right, if that is clear enough, I hope my seconder will continue to second it. And okay, could we have a vote on that one? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great.